guys, welcome back to another episode of the Autism Our Story podcast. Today, I have the opportunity to interview Chris. He is an autism dad of a beautiful young lady, and I'm very excited to talk all about their autism journey and their spelling journey. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, and we're going to start from there.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Chris. I am 40 years old. I have an 11-year-old non-speaking autistic daughter, and I have an 8-year-old typical boy who speaks too much. And no, I'm a construction worker. I kind of just started this Instagram page and TikTok page to spread awareness and kind of just share the stuff that we missed out on and trying to help parents with like newly diagnosed kids or toddlers, or maybe just parents that missed out on the same stuff we did, and just try to share some stuff so they don't make the same mistakes we did.
Yeah, you've been so helpful to others, to me too. I just feel like you're really one of the biggest accounts out there that's doing it. Looks simple, but what you share, it's life-changing for parents to just find out things they missed out on.
Well, and that was the whole thing of why I kind of dove into it more and more, is because I know like how much that information changed like our whole perspective on life and just how we raised Marissa. So I figured if I can just make videos, whether they be silly or serious or whatever, and get the word out, then more power to everybody. And that's the other thing I always want to like tell everybody is like, I'm just a dad. I have no degrees. That's why I said like construction worker, because I'm just that. All I am is a dad, and I just want to share the information we worked out on and like kind of share awareness, and then let other people follow in line what might work for them. So
yeah, that's amazing. So like let's just jump into it. So can you just talk about some of the things that you found out that you had, missed on, like that the professionals didn't tell you about?
Yeah.
And that
no, that's perfect, because that's like the whole basis of my page as it is just sharing the stuff that either we missed out on and the professionals didn't really tell us about. The first thing was something called apraxia, and which is basically, I'm going to dumb it up here because I am not educated, but how it kind of made sense for me is that my daughter has a brain-body disconnect, and then what she wants her body to do, she cannot get it to do. So like as simple as like, hey, Marissa, come over here, and she just stands still. For years, we thought it was because she didn't understand the words of like, come here, or like, I don't know she doesn't know what her name is, or like or she's stubborn or whatever. And it's like, no, the whole basis behind everything is they have a brain-body disconnect, and she cannot literally move her body at certain times. And that's why it was so confusing, is because certain times she would, but a lot of other times she wouldn't. And then, so we didn't really know what the hell we were doing the first 7 years of her life. I mean, we went through a bunch of different therapies, speech therapy, OT, all that stuff, and nobody mentioned apraxia, or that there could be a problem with her body. They made it seem like she was cognitively impaired, and like, not to sound rude, but like that she was kind of dumb. Like she was 6-7 years old and didn't even really have the cognitive abilities of a toddler. So it was really confusing for us when we found out about spelling, and then kind of found out about apraxia, and that her body was the problem the whole time and not her mind. So that was one thing. That was like the basis of it all. And then another thing which I was kind of like pissed about is they didn't talk about like the gut health, or like how important like their diet is and stuff like that, and how messed up the autistic kids' stomachs are. And, like there's a big, I don't know, like a big deal with the food you feed them and then their ability to perform, because then we're tying into, once again, this is a body problem. So if you're eating crap food, it's really going to affect them, because then their body's not performing. So then they're going to seem way less intelligent than they actually are, because they can't get their body to do anything. So like those two things alone, just catastrophic difference in like everything once we found out about the apraxia and gut health. and we were able to more along the lines treat her body and just feed her better foods. We were always trying to like keep healthy food, but we didn't like know the extent to how serious it actually was.
Yeah.
But go.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents don't really get it. They, hear a lot of they hear like parents that get it, that are learning about it, talking about, the gut health and foods, and they're thinking, oh, you're just trying to treat their autism with food, and make fun of that. But it really does make a difference. And
Yes.
most of these things, like you said, the professionals aren't telling us, and we're all just finding it out on social media, people like you
It's
sharing it.
Well, and that's just it. It's like I've shared this on the page before, but it's like I honestly trust like other parents more than I trust a lot of professionals because there's no financial motive involved or whatever. And then I think all of us just kind of have sympathy for one another and just honestly want to help. Plus, we just want to help. Like, I want everybody's kid to flourish to the best of their abilities because these kids go through enough crap. So it's like if we can all share some stuff to make it a little bit better for them, then so be it and let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like one of the first time I had heard about the brain body disconnect was, I think, watching Spellers, but then you were just, talking about it more and more. And I was like, wait a minute, this is starting to make sense, because as parents, sometimes we can hear it, somebody talking about it, but we still have a child that still, if you call them, it doesn't seem like they're listening, or it seems like they're not really in there, even though somebody has told you they're in there, so it takes a long time. And that's something that I like about how you share your content, is that you just always kind of say the same thing. I won't ever get, tired of it, because I've lived it and I know how hard it is to see it and like really get that they're really in there, even though their bodies are not collaborating. It's hard because we have been trained to think this way for so long.
Well, and then if you like, I was just think like they're in their own little world or whatever, and they got to snap out of it. That's kind of how I always based it. Because part of me was like, she's in there sometimes, she hears us, and then like you get the reports back from like the school and everything, and they're like, oh, she still doesn't know what these basic numbers and these basic barn animals. She can't even identify them and everything. So it's like, well, maybe she's not that smart and whatever. They're your kids, so you're gonna love them regardless. But the fact is, and then you're wondering why they're so dysregulated and like pissed off. It's like because you're pounding the same toddler curriculum every day and day in and day out, and they're so smart and they know this stuff and they can't display their intelligence or whatnot. So it really is like a vicious battle, but it's one of those things like I'll die on this hill. Like I will
Yeah.
just I'll beat this dead horse or however you want to word it, but I'm going to keep making content because
Yes.
every time a new family sees it or whatever, and then everybody else who hears it, they might be sick of it or whatever, but we all need the reminder. I still need the reminder myself,
Yeah.
so.
I don't think, at least I will ever get tired of it, because I know it helped me and it's helping others. And
Yeah,
so just keep doing it. It's working. A lot
yeah.
of parents are waking up to it, and not just parents, I think professionals too.
I kind of badmouth a lot of professionals on my thing, and
Yeah.
I don't really want to seem like that because there are really good ones, and I think that I just want to like everybody to be on the same page because it's like if everybody learns this, like we need professionals, we need the help of them because they're trained in certain ways. It's just like if they had the willingness to tweak a few things and accept this, that maybe they were taught the wrong way at first and maybe their methods are a little bit outdated or whatnot, then I think we can make some like serious progress for these kids in the future. So it's one of those things where it's like, don't be too stubborn. You know what I mean? Just adapt, listen to the parents, and like, let's get on the same page and work together. And I got to say, there are a ton of like speech therapists and OTs that all back me and say wonderful things to me and practice the stuff that like I say, not because of me, but they believe in the same stuff. So I think we're steering in the right direction. We're not there yet, but I think we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I feel like what you're doing and what others are doing is really pushing it that way, and just need to keep doing it.
Yep.
So let's talk about how you started with spelling. How did you find spelling, and how old was your daughter when she started spelling?
She was 7 when we found out about it, and we did it within a couple months of when we found out about what this whole thing was. And basically, a lady with an autistic, non-speaking son walked into a pizza shop that my wife's like family friend owns, and she's been involved with our daughter and loves our daughter for, you know what I mean? So anytime she was just like, "Oh, he's autistic. What are you guys doing?" And then she watched him spell, and then the lady who had the son or whatever told us about a book, Edo in Autism Land and Underestimated. So I remember the first thing I listened to was Edo in Autism Land. And then my wife actually went and saw that kid spell and basically like came home crying and was like, dude, we have this all wrong. We are doing this wrong. Read this book. Like, it's going to blow your mind. And I remember I listened to the book, and Edo in Autism Land. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, he explained himself as just like my daughter, and then was using like certain situations and stories in the book that made all the sense in the world. And even like had like little habits just like my daughter did. So it was like, it really clicked. And then I remember like listening to it, and just the first thing as like a parent is like, messed up. You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot of guilt and shame, and because like for years we kind of talked about her like she wasn't in the room a lot of times, and we were giving her like toddler curriculum and kind of did a baby voice almost sometimes, and good job, Marissa, and stuff like that. And then it's like, man, once he explained it in the book, it made a lot of sense. And I'll never forget driving to work, just bawling my eyes out listening to this book, because that's all I could think about is like how I kind of failed as a father with her. And I get to work and everything, and I'm just like a wreck. And I'm like, man, I sat in the car and just like had to gather myself. And once we like, from then on out, we kind of changed. So like spelling wasn't like, there was no practitioners in the area at this time. So the lady was going down to Florida. So we're like, I was about to get laid off from work. I'm a cement finisher, so I get laid off in the winter because you can't pour concrete. I live in Northeast Ohio. So I'm like, listen, we're going to save whatever, and we're going to go and we're going to make appointments, and we're going to try this thing because this book seems legit. And more importantly, which a lot of these professionals, and we'll get into this later when we talk about like the doubts or whatever, they don't know what that like presuming competence does to your kid's behavior on like a 24/7 level. Like, we noticed, like, as soon as we started talking to her and giving her the benefit of the doubt, her body, like, she became more like tolerable to be around. She was the flip outs and everything, they still happened, but she was just more pleasurable because she's like, finally they get it. They understand, like, I'm in here. They're not talking to me like a baby, you know what I mean? Or like thinking I'm not listening or whatever. They understand that I'm in here. I comprehend everything, because then we began treating it like it was a body problem. Once I read that book, I'm like, screw it. What do we got to lose? You know what I mean? It seemed to work for him. And if anything, we're giving our daughter too much respect now, you know? And so there's like no bad that can come from it. So then we're like, screw it. We're going to Florida. And that's what we did. We made our first trip down to Florida. It was like out of Tampa. And we just drove down there and made scheduled appointments and went and seen a practitioner.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. About the guilt. Yeah. I feel like a lot of parents go through that when it, really hits that's what's happening. I felt it. My husband has felt it. Yeah. It's hard, to feel like you have failed your child, you were doing it all wrong. But at the end of the day, we really weren't the ones to blame because we didn't know. And it's tough.
Well, and then like, not to get too off topic, but the depths I went into to get her to this like certain, and my wife, especially my wife, more so my wife, but like we pretty much, I mean, they got it for like 10 grand, you know what I mean? I'm a construction worker. That was a lot of money for us. And it was for a certain school, the best autism school in Northeast Ohio or whatever. And it's like, man, like they saw us coming or whatever. But
Yeah.
it like we went through the ringer to get her through like the IEPs and all that crap. Everybody knows, and
Yeah.
it's a train wreck. And we went through a lot. That we did a T-shirt like fundraiser drive where I had to like ask for money and handouts because we just couldn't swing it,
Yeah.
and it just a lot of stuff. And then it's like when all said and done is like, man, we're not even like, because like she was there and like she wasn't really progressing to what we wanted to, and it just seemed like she wasn't really enjoying it or whatever. And it's like, man, we spent all this money and because we thought we were doing the right thing, and there was just guilt and shame and just kind of just anger all around, and this definitely cleared a lot of things up for us. So
Yeah, it's tough to deal with that, and just a lot of things that we put our effort and time and money into that weren't as helpful. Yeah, it's
no, and that's the other thing, that the time and effort, like and then we had like a toddler son, a typical son. So every time you got to go to therapy, you got to drag him because I'm at work. So my wife's taking him, and then you're just dealing with him and her in the waiting room. And they're like, well, you like
yeah,
just all the driving, nothing's close. You're on waiting lists for everything. It's just like, man, there's a lot of work, and if you're just trying to help your kid and make them like the best possible version of themselves, and it's very frustrating for these parents.
yeah.
And
I can imagine.
yeah,
um, so one thing that I like that you shared was, how you kind of saw a difference in her when you guys at least started to presume competence. Um, was that also when she had started spelling, or it was?
so not really, because we were kind of like we were kind of stuck because I had to work and make more money so we could go to Florida or whatever. So like it was, I want to say it was like September, October, and I was getting laid off in like December. So we made appointments during Christmas because we're like, you know what, we're just going to go down there, and it's going to be, because if this spelling thing is like we didn't know, we had hope, but you have hope for a
Yeah,
bunch of things.
still.
So we're like, you know what, if worst case scenario, we spend Christmas in Florida, her dad was down there, he had a house or whatever. So we're going to spend Christmas in a warm area. We're going to get a Airbnb with a pool, and we're going to make the best out of the situation. We're going to do this spelling thing. And if it's great, sweet. If not, then we're still in Florida for Christmas, and that's our vacation.
Yeah,
So whatever. So we didn't start spelling. Once we found out about spelling, we didn't really know what to do, and for like months. So we made that appointment when I was going to get laid off, when I knew I'd be off of work and we had a little more money. So that was the kind of gist of it.
okay. So you got to Florida and she started spelling. Do you remember one of the first things that she spelled? Like, how was it, seeing her spell for the first time?
So it started off as like a train wreck, and it was cool because I felt like a great vibe with the practitioner as soon as we met her, and the way she talked to Marissa was the way we had been talking to her, like the whole presuming competence. Like, you're
Yeah.
talking to a 7-year-old kid here, not no baby talk. She talked to her like normal and everything like that, like how we had been implementing at home. So she started reading a lesson. I believe it was on Canada because that's where she was from. Something had to do with Canada. So she starts reading this lesson. Now, mind you, this is like a 5th, 6th grade lesson. She's like reading, and I'm like, she's falling around, and she's just reading like you would to like a school full of kids or whatever, like a lesson, and then you're going to answer questions about it. So the whole time she starts reading, she's reading in this like kind of monotone voice. She's kind of a soft-spoken lady, and she's reading like this and blah, blah, blah. And the whole time, Marissa's just running around her room, like not even paying attention, or so
Yeah.
we thought.
Yeah.
She's running around. She's organizing the pen. She's trying to steal Dana's water off her thing and drink it. And then she's like, she's making noise like the whole time, louder than Dana's even reading. And then like, we're like, me and my wife are like, what the hell are we even doing here? Like, this is not whatever. So we're like, just go through the motions. And I'm like, is she cool? I'm like, Marissa, be quiet. And she's like, she's fine. Don't worry about it. She can hear everything. I'm like, what? Okay. And then so first things, like she finishes the first part of the lesson, and she's like, hey, Marissa, come sit down and spell. And Marissa actually went down and sat next to her or whatever. And so at first, like, there's like a progression with the letter boards. Like there's only there's like 8 letters on one board, but you'll know they know the answers that they're giving. They're like asking questions, and then they're going to have the kids spell, but they have to rotate the boards, because what this is like they explained it, it's like a motor problem. That was like they can't point at first to the small letter because it's very hard for them to control where they're pointing. So that made sense. But I'm pretty sure the first word she spelled was Canada. And
Okay.
so she wasn't pointing at the time. When they first start out, they have a pencil and they go through the letter. There's like a hole in the board or whatever. So she asked her, like, what was the blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, and I could see her, she's going towards the sea and she gets it or whatever. And then she pulls back and then she goes and she gets the A or whatever. And then like she would be a little off, but you could tell she was like right next to the letter. She just can't, like, her body's like shook. And me and my wife are like, what the hell? We're going over like barn animals back at home. And then we come down here and this lady's reading like 6th grade lessons and my daughter's answering the questions. So we were like blown away. But then before we left, she did, because we had a bunch of appointments with her. We scheduled more or whatever.
Yeah.
She did this was the one where it was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
She did it was something on the solar system or planets or whatever the hell. And she ran through Marissa spelled out like certain planets or whatever. And then she asked, who was the first man on the moon? And I'm like, that wasn't even it. She didn't even ask. Like, that wasn't even, she didn't read that. She did not read that information. I'm like, that wasn't in the lesson. You didn't say that. She's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, what? And sure as shit, my daughter spelled out Neil Armstrong. And I'm like, what? It's not like we even talk about Neil Armstrong back at my house, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, what the hell? And then from that point on, we're like, well, this is our life. Like, we're doing this. And so that was like the whole gist of it, was basically like, just because they're making noise or running around and you're talking, they hear everything and they take that all in. And so it was like the exact opposite from what I thought for 7 years, was just like proved wrong to me in an instant. So
wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I love
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's one thing that for parents, with autistic kids, again, they might not get that when they're sitting and trying to read. That's my experience too. Before I knew this, I would sit with my son and I would say he doesn't like reading. He won't sit down for me. And I just, for a while, I would just focus on the others and just he would be like, Kyler doesn't want me to read to him. So, but knowing that he is actually listening has changed everything for me.
Yes.
I'm able to just, trust that he's listening, and he actually shows me afterwards that he actually was listening, which is amazing. So yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of parents need to know about.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that, because I specifically, one of the other things I had guilt about for years is I would sit and read my typical son bedtime stories. And I would read Marissa bedtime stories, but it was always like a kind of like, it was this book, Good Night, I Love You. It was like a freaking something for a baby, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then like we would read certain, like she'd have like Mickey stories, but a lot of times I would like just like leave, because it's like, oh, she don't even want me here. It seems like she's not even paying attention or whatever. So I'm actually going to make a video about that, because I think more parents need to hear about that. But that's the basis. One of the things, I'm like reading my typical son a higher level a book than I'm reading my daughter in the other room. You know what I mean? And then it was just one of those things. It's like, no, she hears everything and understands everything. So it is good for parents to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. You're not alone in that. I think I knew that I wasn't alone in that. A lot of parents, are doing it, which is why this information is important. So yeah, keep doing those videos.
Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. If you're enjoying this interview, would you please consider liking or subscribing to the channel, or maybe commenting? Let us know what you think about what's being talked about here today. Interacting with this video would really help it to be pushed to more people that could benefit from this kind of content. I really appreciate your support. So I know that Marissa has recently, become an open speller, which is very exciting. For us watching her do this, but you as parents, it must be very exciting. I'm just wondering, like, how is it, getting to know her like for the first time after all these years?
It is like every dream I could ever imagine. Like it's literally everything. Like I might tear up, but seriously, for years, like we just didn't even know like if she comprehended what we were saying, and then to like see she has a personality and she's a little shit. Like
Yeah,
she's like a little smart ass like me. It's just awesome. Like I love it. And then like just learning like little things like she likes rock and roll, and then she likes like other musicians. She's into this like Tate McRae or something now or whatever she likes, and just like learning this stuff is just so cool because like you don't know like certain instances like she got to be what she wanted for Halloween. We didn't pick it out or whatnot, and then like what she wants for
yeah,
Christmas and little things like that. Because as a like even back then when I didn't know, like all you really want to do is provide like comfort for them and like want them to feel happiness. And we didn't know if we were doing that before, but now it's like awesome to see that we are able to at least provide things that she asks for. And
yeah,
it's just I want it for everybody, and I think everybody can get there one way or the other. And it's just whatever you can do to get there, please try it because it is worth everything. So
yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, just I was just very curious to know like how it is. Yeah, I can imagine you guys are so excited.
yeah,
Yeah, being able to give her exactly what she wants. You know, I know a lot of parents listening can relate. You know, we get to Christmas and you're like, okay, what am I getting them? You know, like you don't know. One thing that I was struggling with because last year around Christmas time, I saw a video that was talking about how sometimes kids with that are non-speakers, you know, the ones that are now able to communicate, were sharing that their favorite shows. Like my son loves Mickey Mouse, and I got him a Mickey Mouse toy, but I'm thinking I'm getting him something he likes, and I'm hoping he does. But I saw a video that kind of made me feel like, oh my goodness, was that the right decision? Because this person said that they get stuck in a loop. Sometimes Mickey Mouse is not really what they want. So I was like, oh my goodness, like this is so hard. Like how do you get them exactly what they want? So I'm happy for you guys because now you know you get to ask her exactly what she wants. But yeah, for us right now, we're still gonna have to hope that that's what
I
they
I'm glad you said that because I was honestly thinking about making a video about that, and I've talked to other parents about that like kind of have open community. Like my daughter will still, if she gets a hold of a phone or whatever, will go to Mickey, and I'm like, she doesn't want to watch Mickey Mouse, and I think it's like a loop. Like, and I
yeah,
gotta. That's one of the things I gotta ask her. Um, like it's almost like I think because for so many years they watched Mickey on their phone, so it's almost like they're programmed, their body is programmed once they get a device or whatever to go to Mickey. Because my daughter loved Mickey and
yeah,
Coco Melon and stuff like that, and it's like my daughter like wants when she watches what she wants to watch. It's like she likes diving competitions, and then I'll catch her watching the GTA where the guys like fall off the building and it's
yeah,
like funny, like it's like
yeah,
silly stuff. And then she likes like the things getting pushed off of buildings that have a bunch of colors in them and stuff. But she'll still like everyone. It's almost like she's stuck. Like, dude, help me turn this Mickey off or
yeah,
whatever. So, and I've heard of there's older kids that go to Blue's Clues because when they were younger, that's what they did. So
yeah.
part
Hmm.
of me thinks it might be like like I got to get to the root of that, but that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Part of me
Yeah,
thinks it might be like a nostalgia thing. Like sometimes maybe
yeah.
they want the comfort of that, but you're
Mhm.
right. Like I don't think our kids with their far
Yeah,
mind want to watch hours of Mickey Mouse.
yeah, yeah. I'm starting to realize that for my
Yeah.
son. I used to, yeah. So the I when I heard that, I also heard another one say that they do like the comfort of it, but it's not always something that they want to watch. Sometimes their
Mhm.
bodies just won't even let them, you know, it just feels like that's what you need to do. Just do it. It's their brain just their bodies just it's not their brain,
Yeah.
their body.
Yes.
Um
Yes.
so yeah, so that's one thing that I feel like parents need to know about, and like it needs to be kind of like how you do, like really like beat him on the head with that information until he gets
Yeah.
there. It's hard to get used to because
Yes.
you just feel like, oh, they love it. What do you mean? No, they don't. But we really need to know that. But yeah, I do notice that he communicates with it certain things. Like right now, he's listening to Bluey, and he doesn't sleep, of course,
Yeah.
and on the nights that I know he was awake at night, he listens to this episode of Bluey that says, I can't fall asleep. So, like, I'll tell my husband, I was like, okay, and this one, maybe he's trying to kind of communicate, but there's others that are just like random. But
Yeah.
Bluey is really deep, and he kind of uses some clips of Bluey to kind of communicate. And I have to use my intuition on those. And like, I just can't shake it. I just know he's trying to communicate. But so that's another thing. Maybe we need to ask um the open spellers if sometimes they were trying to communicate using those, because they do, when you don't have a way to communicate, you get um how do you say it, creative on with ways to communicate. So I'd like to think that sometimes they're trying to communicate, but
A
most of
hundred
the time
percent,
it's not.
and especially if they can't get their body to like drag you to the situation, because
Yeah.
sometimes Marissa will still to this day pick me up and drag me to wherever she wants to go or whatever she wants, but certain
Yeah.
times she can't get her body to move there, and that's a good point. Like, well, I play this thing, and Bluey's kind of age appropriate. Like that's kind of like I don't know. Like I find Bluey
Deep.
entertaining. Like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
me
there's
too. Me and my husband, we watch it, we'll cry to Bluey.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely got its moments. That's yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. Another thing that I saw that he's trying to communicate, which is just makes sense. He has been watching this episode of Roadster Racers that Donald and Pete go to. They're doing like a tournament, and they have like the winner, wins the whole thing. And Goofy goes to see a guru, like a meditation person, and so Goofy's meditating and he says, "Be the baloney." Anyways, I have now learning. I'm in a group with Sarah Antonato. You know her,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, she's teaching us, like how to take care of ourselves, so that to be able to how we can be regulated, so our kids can be regulated. And one of the things she's sharing in there that's like a resource is how, like breath work and meditation
Oh
around the
yeah,
same
Sarah.
time.
She's like a Reiki.
Yeah,
She's got the
Sarah.
Rocco up. Yeah, Sarah. That's her.
Yeah.
I
Around
everything.
the
Yeah,
time.
I know Sarah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so around the same time we were doing that module for this thing, he's like, he props his iPad around, like he'll follow me around the house. I'm doing my hair, I'm like cooking. He'll prop his iPad in front of me and be doing, the loop thing. But in that moment, like my intuition has gotten really stronger with him lately. So I'm like, wait a minute, he's been trying to tell me what to do to be able to keep him regulated or connect with him or whatever for a long time. But yeah, that one, I feel like he can get stuck in a loop, but he was trying to tell me to meditate. It just made sense. Like, wait a minute, we're talking about meditation, and he's been showing me this for so long, and now I'm finally able to, so like it's things like that. Like a lot of this is like also using our intuition to just follow that, because these kids do get creative on how to communicate with us.
100%. And I'm glad you brought up the whole meditation part because like breathing and stuff like that helps us like get Marissa not only calm but like regulated. If she can't move her body or is struggling with something, like take a couple deep breaths, Marissa. And I've shared this. I do the countdown like 3, 2, 1, let's go, and stuff like that helps too. But it's that intuition, like, and you gotta like adapt to certain situations or whatever. Sarah's great too. It's like she's good with meditation. I've actually had her on lives and we've talked and all that, and
Yeah.
she does the RPM and she's certified in a bunch of stuff. So, but that whole meditation, it's good for us in general to do that. But
Yeah.
like, it is a great way for all of us to get like on the same wavelength or whatever, and then trust your parental instincts because they're there. Like, I mean, they're
Yeah.
there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I've been learning to do.
Yes.
It's really helped me connect with him better. Yeah.
Yes.
So now that she's an open speller, what are some things that she has shared with you about her experience not being able to communicate, for so long?
The number one thing, and this is what we found with all the kids, and this is in the Spellers documentary, is you don't have to teach them how to spell, read, or do math. They automatically know how. And that has definitely been our case because when she started spelling, we were not working on any of those words. She just knew how to spell them. And then same with math. You've seen the math she
Yeah.
can do. It's insane. And like they just know that stuff. And I don't know how. I can't explain it. But that's in the book, and like they all document that they can do it from like pretty much the age of 3.
Yeah.
Um, she said basically like she's always in there, but the thing, and I've made a video about this, but the thing that always got me and like floors me still to this day, because I fall victim of judging her body still, is I'll never forget one of the first times she did like an open statement, or right when we were starting to get open on the boards. We had a party at our house and everybody left, and great party, everybody was great time or whatever, and she started like crying uncontrollably. We had like a cookout or whatever, and we went back in the house. Me and my wife were cleaning up or whatever. She just started like bawling uncontrollably, and we're like, what the hell? She sad everybody left. Like, what's at this point we're presuming competent spelling, so my wife tries to spell with her, and she's crying, like wiping tears, and then she gathers herself, sits and spells, and she says, I'm fine, just noise. So
Oh,
like
wow.
that alone was like, holy crap. We are basing everything on like, if she's sad and making these noises, and I've made videos about this and I will continue to, because like then it gets me thinking like, damn, for these past like 5 years, if we go to a place and she flips out right away, we're like, oh, she don't want to be here, let's get the hell out of here, let's figure out. That might not be the case. You might just have to give them time to let her get her body regulated and then controlled. And we found out like, because then we were doing like Miracle League baseball, and at first we'd go there and it was like a train wreck. She actually got most improved player her second year, because like the first year we only stayed for like 1 inning most of the time, and she'd be flipping
Yeah.
out and like wanting to leave and all that. And then like, but it turns out she wanted to be there really bad. Her body, she just didn't have control of her body, so she'd flail around and just like hit us and stuff. And like, man,
Mhm.
but it's not really an accurate representation to how she truly thinks and feels. And so that alone was like, man. And like I've had instances where like we had her grandma passed a couple weeks ago, and she was devastated. Obviously, this was, like we go, our nighttime ritual when I come home from work or whatever is we take the dogs and we walk. Grandma lived like a half mile down the street. So we'd take
Oh,
the and we'd hang out. She'd have a little snack, and we'd all hang out and see grandma for a little bit. And then, so she took it really rough, but like she was laughing and like giggling when we told her in the news. So it's basically they don't have control of their body, and when it gets
yeah.
dysregulated, an action might come out, and it's not really a fair representation to how they
Yeah.
truly think and feel. And that's not all the time. It's just like sometimes when you call their name and they come right away, but then when
Yeah.
you call their name sometimes and they pretend you're not even in the room. So these are just things, and I know it sounds confusing because it is, but
Yeah.
it's just like that's life, and
It
like
is.
that's our situation. And I think a lot of other people with the non-speaking autistics that have apraxia is their bodies aren't really like you can't judge anything by it, and it kind of sucks. But a lot of times it's not really how they feel. So
Yeah.
now because of that, that was a huge one. So now we know, like, if we go to a certain situation, especially one we think she likes or wants to be at, if she starts flipping out on right away, she might be just dysregulated. You might just have to like calm the storm, let her gather herself, and then everything's good. And that's been the case for now. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's also really good information, good insight for parents. We know,
yes,
yeah, not to follow the body.
yes,
The body is very distracting.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to know not to trust their bodies. It's
And
it's tough.
sometimes it's as simple as like going to a quiet room and letting them gather themselves or whatever. Like that's what we do a lot of times now. And I don't like to rely too much on like tablets and electronics, but certain times it's like if that can get them to a calmer state, then
Yeah.
whatever. Like use that as a tool. I just don't want that to be the go-to, but it
Yeah.
is there for a reason. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, that's what we do also for ourselves when we feel like, you know, for us, it's like, I don't want to get ready, leave my house to get there to just be, you know, a mess, like, because
yeah,
just trying to get him. So if it will help him be happy so that I can socialize, absolutely.
oh yeah.
And so that's what we use it for.
Yeah,
And
those tablets need to be they're like our sanity breaks is too
yes,
because it's like every once in a while. Because I try to always like monitor screen time. I just don't want her to like be on it all the time,
yeah,
but certain times it's like necessary.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's really good. So for parents that they have spellers that are not yet open, sometimes it can, feel like it's taking so long, or you sometimes just want to have a reference to know. So how long did it take for Marissa to be an open speller?
like 2.5 years. We started to get some random open statements, but it wasn't continuous after like a couple years and maybe even like earlier on, like certain like, but they'd all be like one word. Like I remember we found out she wanted to be her favorite princess was Belle and she wanted to be
Oh,
Belle for Halloween. So that was awesome, which is another she asked for Belle, picked out the costume and everything. It was awesome. She loved it and fought us kicking and screaming when we tried to put the costume on. So that's just another perfect example
yeah.
of, and then once she got it on, I got pictures of her like crying, putting it on, and then I got pictures of her in the front yard with the biggest grin on her face. Like, I got it. They understand. We like fought her, like, you're putting this damn costume on because we
Yeah.
knew it was like her body fighting us. So that was one of the things. But for like continual open statements, like 2.5 years, and it is harder the younger they are usually because they don't have it's like kind of they gain more control of their body as time goes on and they get older and stronger and all that and
Yeah.
develop more. So, but another instance, or another like thing to put into context is it's a lot harder for my wife to get open statements with her than it is for her practitioners. And we found this out through like because we've done like we went hard at this. We did these things called immersion weeks where we like spent a week in Florida and they worked with her every day and more importantly worked with like me and my wife on the boards. I don't even spell with her anymore because I kind of feel like I'm slowing her down because once we're but I'm gonna get there again. But regardless, like my wife's really good on the boards and still struggles like to get the open statements. And then when I take her to like spelling with Samantha and Leanne, she's freaking on it. Like she can spell out anything. And what we're kind of finding out is there's too much like there's too much emotion involved when it's the parent. So it's
Yeah.
harder for not saying the parents can't get open, but
Mhm.
you're not going to see like the same amount of success with like open statements that you would from a certified practitioner. So that's what I always try to tell parents is like, dude, if you got one in your area, try to develop a relationship with them and try to get with them as much as possible. And you can work with them at home and especially with like lessons and stuff like that because it's way easier for them to answer like questions from a lesson than it is to give open statements because there's way more emotion involved as opposed to just like stating facts that they've just heard from does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense.
So it's a lot harder and that's what I try to always like tell parents is like, dude, it's not just like, hey, here's a letter board, tell me
Yeah.
what you want for dinner because it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. And I kind of might be victim of like showing these videos and not giving context, but I basically am just trying to spread awareness that this
Yeah.
this exists, like this is
Yeah.
out here, this is an outlet, and more importantly your kids are in there. So like what
Yeah.
you choose to do with that information, to each his own. I just want you to
Yeah.
know that there's certain options that you might not be aware of. So
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I feel like it's important for you to do that. And all that will come after. It's just also important for the parents to know that it's not automatic. It's not like what you said, just put a board
yeah,
on a child that's never, done the spelling, how it's supposed to be done. They won't. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot
No.
that goes into it that people need to follow.
And there is I'm gonna try to do more videos, like basically breaking this down. I actually am gonna ask her practitioners for help in like explaining that, and then have them on it too, because there is like a strategy you got to go about to get to that point. And dude, my daughter has worked her butt off for like 2.5 years, and or it's been longer than that now to get to that point.
Yeah.
But she's special, but she's not unique. So I also want parents to know that it is possible, and it
Yes.
might take some parents years. And I'm not trying. I have followers that are certified practitioners and can't get open statements from their kids yet, and they've been working at it for years, and
Yeah.
they're trying really hard, and they're not giving up or whatever. And they
Yeah.
see they're hopeful because they see that it's possible, but it isn't just an overnight thing. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of parents will benefit from that information. I know it.
yes.
Yeah. So my son does the same. He is able to spell with his practitioner, but not with me. And I've struggled with that a lot. And that's what I was saying. It dawned on me that meditation might help. When I reached out to Sarah, and she's trying to help me with that. But also along my son has been also kind of been trying to tell me like, this is what you need to do so you can calm down. Because yeah, and then yeah, one of those days I was trying to spell with him, and he just was pushing me away, not wanting to sit or nothing. And I'm thinking, he doesn't want to spell with me. Sometimes you might feel like you're the only one because you go on social media and you see everybody, they're doing great. But that is not the case. That's another thing that parents need to know. I'm learning that. Anyways,
Mhm.
I got off and I was kind of like ready to kind of, not give up. But I was just like, for the day, I'm so done. And I was upstairs like crying. And then I go on Facebook and I saw a video of a non-speaker. It just popped up right when I needed it. And he was sharing to his mom, like he had his, practitioner was right there. And he was talking to his mom, telling her why he couldn't spell with her or even be open with her. And he was saying it's because he gave an example that was really good that I can't really think about right now, but he kind of like was saying like, when you really want something, he said that it they feel that excitement, and it makes it hard for them to get to the words. And that really made sense for me.
Well, and then it's like when you gotta pee and you get closer to the bathroom, you gotta pee even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense. Yeah. I like that
that's probably not the
example.
example he used, but that's what made me think
I
of. It's
mean,
like
yeah,
that's
it
the
makes
that's
sense.
the thing though.
Absolutely.
So we actually like almost hit a regression period because like everything was going good with my wife and everything on her, and my wife's good on the boards. Like she's trained and like she's good. But we got to a point where it was like that. It almost seemed like Marissa didn't even want to spell with her. And then I'm not saying this is what you need to do, talk to your practitioner or whatever. We took like a week off, and then it
Oh,
seemed to like help. And I
okay.
think a lot of times, because I say this because you're talking about meditation, like
Yeah.
they sense our vibes, man. They know, like, dude, mom, you're way too filled with anxiety. Let's like
Yeah.
just go for a walk and enjoy nature instead of this shit. Like that's what you need right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that sometimes they can sense it. Like this is not going to do good for either one of us. I'm a wreck, you're a wreck, whatever. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
So it's, and then you being a mom and me, whatever, us just being parents, like we got to work at this because this is what we're supposed to do. And that
Yeah.
is the good thing. But sometimes it's like also like maybe just not, it's
Yeah.
not every day or whatever. So it is
Yeah.
one of those things, like a balance thing. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I'm right now learning about and, trying to implement, working on myself first. Like I heard a thing that they said you can't help, like how they say in the plane, you can't help your kids before you help you have to put the mask
you got to help
on
yourself before you help
yourself
your
before
kid.
you
Yeah.
help your child. That's exactly what I'm learning right now with our, spelling journey. And that's how it needs to be. And it's hard. Like, yeah. Another thing that
Well,
I'm struggling with is how they say you need to empty out, or calm down the excitement. I have a hard time with toning down how bad I want him to spell. I don't know how to tone it down. You know, it's
And
tough.
then, well, it is, and you're just a good mom, dude. That's all it is. And I get
Yeah.
it because and that's the whole thing is there's a lot of emotion involved because we love these kids more than anything we could ever fathom. And
Yeah.
then you just want them to excel. And then to think like, not that you're the problem or whatever, then it gets in your head even more. And it's almost like a vicious cycle when sometimes like something like meditation or just getting on the same wavelength as them seems to help because they don't want you filled with anxiety either. They want
Yeah.
their happy-go-lucky mom. And
Yeah.
then that's the other thing I've been trying to do more videos about is like your kids love you, like even if they can't show it, because that was one thing that hurt me. Like for years, I'd come home from work and I couldn't wait to see her, and like I'd walk in the door and like my son would run up to me like Dad, and then she would just not even like budge or acknowledge that I was in the room. And it's
Yeah.
like, does she even like want me here? And then it's like,
Yeah.
well, come to find out, she can't get her body to move. So
Yeah.
like all these things, it's hard. It's like an emotional roller coaster for all of us. But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They want us to feel the vibe that they're on and all that stuff, and anxiety gets in the way, and I can't help it, and I know you can't either. But sometimes
Yeah.
something like as
Absolutely.
little as meditation can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have had like I think a few, from the interviews I've done before, a few parents have shared that their kids have told them, they were role moms, that they want them. Like one mom asked her son what he wanted for his birthday, and I think it was his birthday, and he said like, I want you to take care of yourself. What do you want to do for yourself? Like take your. I've heard them, a lot of them say, mom needs to take her own time to take care of herself. Mom needs more help. Another one said mom needs more help to help take care of me so that she can have her own. Like they want us to. I feel like it's showing us the importance of self-care. Like as parents, it's hard for us to, even give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves, but it's the most important things. And now that it's like hearing it from, the non-speakers has really helped me feel like, okay, I feel like I can give myself permission now to let myself enjoy me time without feeling bad.
Well, and that's just it. It's like you you need to be we need to be the best versions of ourselves to help them get to be the best versions of themselves. And they're
Yeah.
spot on when they say stuff like that because they don't want us feeling just like we wouldn't want them feeling anxiety or turmoil or anything like that. They don't want that on us too. And then they don't want to be the cause of that. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
it is one of those things where we do have to. I'm glad you said that because it's something I
Yeah.
always need to be reminded of is and I'll share like I was in recovery like 12-step program thing, and the one thing they taught me early on is like you can't love somebody else until you love yourself, and that kind of
Yeah.
that makes sense. And like this whole journey is like you can't really help somebody until you're able to help yourself because you're not going to
Yeah.
be of real service to them. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It just makes sense.
it does.
So, what would you say is the biggest misconception about non speakers with autism?
Kind of like I said before, um, just to piggyback off like the apraxia thing, it's a body problem and not a mind thing. So just and basically what I'm trying to spread awareness on the most is like they hear everything you're saying, comprehend it and understand it. And just because they can't like react to it doesn't mean that they don't care about it or understand it. It's basically, and I've said this in videos before, and I'll use it again. And it's not medically correct or anything, but it seems to make the most sense to an uneducated person like myself.
Yeah.
They basically have like Tourette's of the body. They cannot control it.
Yeah.
So you see how smart my daughter is in certain things she'll spell and everything, but the kid will still run into traffic if I
Yeah.
still have to hold her hand in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So my daughter knows the concept of danger. Like if I get hit by a car, it'll hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen, but she cannot control her body in certain situations. So it's like one of those things like I don't know, we've kind of had it wrong this whole time. And just because somebody doesn't have words coming out of their mouth doesn't mean they don't understand the words coming out of yours. And that's
Yes.
the biggest thing.
Yeah. And it also doesn't mean they don't have anything to say. That's
Yes.
another thing people need to learn about. But yeah, the part where, yeah, I'm glad you talked about the eloping, because that's something that a lot of parents also need to, understand, that your child is not just doing it, just to be, I don't know, whatever. We have thought that Kyler's just trying to run away from us, you
Mhm.
know. But I learned that actually, I think it was on Michaela's Voice that
Oh
she
my God, I
shared.
was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
She did a
she,
great job on that. But
yeah,
go on, yes.
she shared that, she can't stop her feet from moving, you know,
Mhm.
and that's like, wow, like it's like that was the first time I ever really thought of it that way, and that makes sense, and that is important for parents to know, and other people too, because people tend to feel like, oh, they're just being naughty, they just, whatever, trying to be, I don't know, brats or whatever. But yeah, it's not that. They don't have control over their bodies.
No, the depths that that'll go to, and then even I'll share this. There's a speller. He's a few years older, but if you ask him what he wants to eat, he'll say rice and beans because it's like almost
Yeah,
like a tick or a loop or whatever. He doesn't want rice and beans every time. But that's just so that's another thing with like the unreliable speech, which is another
yeah,
thing. Just because your kid's saying something doesn't really necessarily mean that's their true intent.
yeah,
So that's another thing to be aware of. But just the same thing, like the misunderstanding that these kids go through
yeah,
is just baffling. Could you imagine having all those thoughts, no way to express it, nobody understands you, then you walk and do crazy stuff, and then people think you're dumb,
yeah,
and it's just like it's very sad, and I just hope as we go on with all of this that future generations don't have to deal with it. That
yeah,
like it's right out the gate in kindergarten. They know like, all right, if you guys are running around and everything, it's not we're gonna talk and you are gonna understand, and
yes,
just I just want that to be the norm one day, and I think we'll get there. It's just
yeah,
gonna take time.
yes, yeah. That's the dream, and I feel like, what we're doing right now is really, you know, making that, become it, making sure that that can be a reality soon.
We're we're paving the way. All these kids
Yeah,
are. All of our kids are gonna be like pioneers in this stuff, and it's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
it's amazing the time we are living.
yeah. Well, and then with all the bad that social media has on it, because there is a lot
Yeah,
of negative with it, it does give you an outlet where like we wouldn't learn this stuff or know this stuff if it wasn't for it. So you got to take the good with the bad.
yeah, absolutely. So, what are your thoughts about the people that are trying to discredit spelling as a viable means of communication?
Okay. I got a lot of them, but no, I'm gonna. It's kind of baffling how stubborn people are because it's like, oh, you got autism figured out in the amount of time that we've been studying this, but yet we ate off the food pyramid for how many years and found out that that was all crap.
Yeah,
You gave us opiates instead of weed, and that was safer. So all this like scientific evidence that you guys say you have about how spelling isn't a reliable means of communication, to not be willing to like change or to listen to the thousands of parents that are out there that say that it's revolutionized their like entire existence is pretty baffling, and just like it kind of pisses me off.
yeah,
And I've gone to war with uh, certain professionals and comment sections, and I win every time because like you cannot deny what my daughter is doing. Like we just
yeah,
had people from the school board come and watch her type, and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
what do you
yeah,
think? You want to doubt that? You want
yeah,
to doubt that? You want to tell me what we've been doing the past 4 years or whatever is bullcrap, and that what my daughter is doing isn't real? Like that's bullcrap. Your science and your studies aren't real, and it basically all boils down to money. And I've
yeah,
done a video on it because, like, if you like, it's ASHA, American Speech Hearing Association. They're the ones that discredit it,
yeah,
and it's simply because if spelling becomes mainstream, there's going to be less jobs for SLPs,
Yeah.
and they get money per SLP. They have to pay a thing, and then plus the AAC device will take a hit because not as many parents will do it, and those are $1 million things that they're counting on that money. So basically, they're choosing money over the growth and like communication abilities of our kids, and it kind of pisses me off. So that's part of the reason why I'm gonna like, dude, I'm a very private person. Like, I just created a Facebook 2 weeks ago. I kind of hated social media my entire life. I had a
Yeah.
Twitter for fantasy football advice. That was
Yeah.
it. I never had Facebook. I started the Instagram thing because I liked memes and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a public person. I was more like private, and now I'm like out there, and it's like, you know what? Not to sound like holier than thou, but I think it's for the greater good, and I'm willing to
Yeah.
make that sacrifice to put my daughter out there. Like, I don't want that. There's creeps and weirdos out there, but I know the message that I have, and I know the ability that my daughter possesses, and what that can do when parents see that, and it's like, oh, okay. Show me what your 11-year-old daughter can do. And this isn't like me being cocky or whatever, but I'm going to show you what mine could do. And we're
Yeah.
going to see which one you'd rather have your kid doing, spelling out their thoughts and feelings, or like pointing to freaking certain cards, or even even the AAC device is great, and I'm not trying to discredit that, but it definitely does have its limitations.
Yeah.
Like,
It
I
does.
like because I got into it with the one girl. It's like, what if my daughter wants a BLT with buffalo sauce on it? Is there a button for that on
Yeah.
the AAC device? Like, yeah, you might be able to put it, but how would we even know
That's
that
the
she likes
thing.
that stuff?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and then you throw in the context, like my daughter gets in loops, like we were talking about before, where
Mhm.
she goes to the same Mickey episode. So, how do we know she's not pressing the same button that she doesn't even really want to? That's why we don't even do yes or no questions on the board. We make her say like complete sentences so that
Yeah.
she has the ability to spell out, you know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
like just get in a loop, because she can even hit yes on the thing, and then that might be a loopy thing where she's like stuck and just her body takes control or whatever. So the naysayers, we're gonna prove you wrong, and you're just gonna seem dumb. So you might as well hop on board, or you're gonna get left in the dust. And that's all I like. Because if you can watch a kid spell, like come to a session and watch somebody and then say what we're doing is fake,
Yeah.
you're fake. You know,
Yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
nothing, and they're hanging on to like the prompting and stuff, because at first you do like, dude, we'll guide their eyes. That's what the whole presuming competence thing is like, I know, you know, it's your body we're trying to coach here, so your motor is what we're trying to strengthen. So sometimes like you might need us to guide it or whatever. And even certain times, like I've shared about the sticker books. We do sticker books when I take my son to hockey, and like the numbers are small, or the letters or whatever. We do sticker by number, sticker by letter. Sometimes she'll get locked and like she can't focus, so I have to like help her point, and she'll see the number and then she'll go. You know, my daughter knows what the numbers are. She's done
Yeah.
crazy math,
Seen
but
her.
sometimes she can't focus her eyes on that little thing. And then that's the other thing why they'll be like, why does the communication partner have to hold the board? Because she
Yeah.
doesn't possess the motor capabilities to do it yet. One day
Yes.
she might, but sometimes still to this day, like she'll be typing and then all of a sudden she'll be stuck. And then you got to like reset the board. You got to pull it up and then hold it up and then come on, Marissa. And then she'll like snap out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's needed, just like how like hand over hand was needed in ABA, and like how you guide with the AAC. You don't just throw an AAC device on and like figure it out. No,
Yes.
there's some
Yes.
prompting that goes into that, and it's the same concept, but they're not willing to hear it because they'll lose millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So basically, that's
Yeah. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. It all goes. It's just about money, and it sickens me just to think about it. I There was one non-speaker that was talking about how it's unfair for them because they feel like they have to be tested in order to get the means of communication that they deserve. But other kids, they need the prompting. Like in ABA, you need prompting, but when it's spelling now, you don't. It's so
yeah. Well, because they make $0 on spelling and they make billions off of ABA. So
Yeah,
that's just what it boils down to. And it's sad. And hopefully it changes. And I think enough eventually it's going to have to, because dude, these autism moms are not anything to mess with, and
yeah,
they're gonna pave the way, and then they're not going to be able to just put up with it anymore, because what's going to happen is what we did, and they're just going to start homeschooling, and then you're going to
yeah,
have a bunch of, because it's like, why am I gonna, if you're not willing to listen to what we have to say and you're kind of discrediting it, why am I going to send my kid here? So
absolutely. Yeah. And that's, I think a lot of, like a lot of spellers are homeschooling. And I
it's
mean,
scary, but we're thriving. So
yes, yeah. And that's what's important.
mhm.
So, what has your daughter, Marissa, taught you about life?
So I'm gonna get off on a little tangent here, but that she is my daughter for a reason, and I have her, like, we're together in this simply for the awareness factor. Like, I don't know, this may sound corny, but we were chosen to do this, to spread this message. And there'll be others like us, and there are others like us that are doing it, but we're just part of the army.
Yeah,
And I'll get
absolutely.
off in a little tangent. I shared I'm ex heroin addict or whatever. And I got clean when I was like 22, but I went and spoke and did, like, I used to lead meetings all the time. I shared at prisons and jails, and I used to run big book groups and discussions at the treatment center I was at. That was like my life for over a decade, was the 12 steps and spreading that and sharing that with everybody. But that was like part of the journey that I needed to experience, because not only when I have this daughter who requires more hands-on experience, I've shared this, like, she keeps me in line, so maybe like I don't return to that former self that I was.
Yeah,
But then again, is like I was that person to learn how to like talk and do all this stuff, and like kind of uh able to carry a message, whether it be recovery or whether it be like spreading awareness for autism.
yeah,
Like, that is my goal in my life, and like everything I've gone through in my life is for this reason, and that's
yeah,
for me and her to help others, and for her to be like a pioneer in this. And just like God, the universe, whatever, like the way she's been able to take off, and she's embraced this, like she's all about it, because she knows like this is like huge, because that's the one thing all of these non-speakers, as soon as they get open or have the ability to share, the first thing they want to do is spread awareness so other kids have this ability, because they
yeah,
know how much it sucks being a prisoner stuck in your own mind, and they just
yeah,
want everybody, so like the one thing she taught me is that we're here for a reason together, and whatever that may be, is we're still working on it and figuring it out, but it's deep and it's meaningful. And I don't know, the main thing is, obviously, she taught me that, and like how to love, man, like, because
yeah,
like you just, until you have that, she was my first kid, you know what I mean, like
yeah,
that was, she was everything, she is everything. And just I can be more grateful, and obviously, like, she's gone through some stuff that I wish she didn't have to go through, but I think it's made her a stronger person, just like her dad went through some stuff that he didn't have to go through, and it made me a stronger person. And I think me and her have gained a whole new appreciation of life and how great it can be, and then just that ability we can share and help others, hopefully. So
yeah, yeah. That's amazing. I'm very inspired by your story, and I do believe that like what you said, it's not corny. You guys were chosen to, do this, and you're doing an amazing job at it. And like anybody that sees just knows that you are really, doing what it seems like it's your mission at this point. I know a lot of others are inspired by your story,
and that's kind of why I shared about the recovery stuff, is because it basically came, like, I felt like corny coming on here, like making these videos, especially at first. Now I don't care. I'll make an ass out of myself. I don't care. But at first it was like hard because of like the ego and the man thing. And I'm like, dude, I used to like share my story. Like, I literally went to prison and
yeah,
talked in front of 1,000 inmates and told, I shared about the first step. And then I used to go to jails and to like take groups in there and detox centers and stuff like that. And I'm like, if I can go talk to these complete strangers, it's like, why can't I talk to some other fellow special needs parents? They're definitely going to be more receptive and kinder, you know what I mean? So if I could
yeah,
talk in front of those people, why can't I do that? So it was like one of those things, like maybe I needed to experience that in my life to get
yeah,
to this point to be able to share this. So
absolutely. Yeah, I truly believe that. So, what advice would you give to parents who are thinking about doing spelling but are kind of on the fence, about starting?
that's a good one. I would start off by, if you could get with a practitioner, get with a practitioner. You're gonna have to work with them at home, and it might not be just words on working on a letterboard. It's a lot of like working out and diet stuff, which you can fine tune at home, because that's a big concept about all of this, is like getting their gut healthy so their body can perform to its best ability, and more importantly, like getting them strong. A lot of these kids, they lack muscle development. They're overweight because they're not eating the correct foods, and I get it, because Marissa went through that phase too, because she only wanted to eat chicken nuggets and fruit snacks, and
Yeah,
we were giving her Skittles to calm her down, which is not a good thing. And a
yeah,
lot, so like that stuff is like very important, and that's stuff that you can work on. But if you can get with a practitioner, please do so. Or like, don't set up expectations that you're going to be able to get it right away, because this is a
yeah,
journey, and you're going to have to work at it, and your kid's going to have to work at it. They're willing to do it though, because they're going to want the benefits of being able to share their thoughts and feelings.
mm,
But not have, so basically what I'd sum it up is, don't have crazy expectation that it's going to be like great and you're going to get the, what do you want for dinner? Bam, tell me. What do
yeah,
you want to watch on TV? Bam, tell me. It's going to take a while to get there, but you can get there. And more importantly, just treat them the age that they are, and talk
yeah,
to them like they are in the room, regardless of if you're going to spell or not. Because I tell parents all the time, like, dude, if you're thriving on the AAC device, and your kid's happy and your family's happy, who the hell am I to tell you differently? But please just make sure they know that if they seem like they're not paying attention, they are. So that's
yeah,
all I really want to say, like stuff like that, or whatever you're doing. Like, I still have followers that do ABA. It didn't work out good for me, but if it's working out for you, rock it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Your kid and your family's happy. I can't say anything different, but just
yeah,
know, like, it's I would say diet and exercise are way more important than they lead on for you to believe. And with the whole spelling thing, is just get with practitioners, and as we go on, there should be more and more coming about, so it should be easier to reach. And then like if there's courses and stuff that you can take, please just absorb all the knowledge that you possibly can, and follow me and others that are going through it, and then ask questions whenever you can and stuff like that, because it is, we still to this day, we're going to we luckily live really close to ours, but we're gonna take a trip to Florida and talk to her too,
yeah,
because it's always good to just meet with as many professionals that are on the same page and get different points of views, that the kids that these people that want to really help your kids, and just try to like get on the same team and work together, whatever it can be. So
yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents really need that advice. And yeah, yeah, thanks for, being willing to share your story and give all the good advice that you've shared all throughout this interview. I feel
yes,
like I've learned a lot from you, and I just know that a lot of other parents really need this information. We've just been, trained to think a certain way for a long time, that, we have to switch it up. And what you're doing is amazing, and please keep doing it. I wish
but
you guys all the best.
Thanks, you too. And I just want to thank you for having me and asking me to do this. I just want to like kind of piggyback on that. Like I've gotten messages and I know what this information about the brain body disconnect and all that has done for me. And I've like literally read their messages and cried because I
Yeah.
know the significance that it gave like our family, like knowing like real quick, her grandma passed a couple, like it's been almost a month now or been about a month now or whatever, and her grandma got to know her before she passed. You know what I mean? Like she
Yeah.
knew Marissa was in there and she got to hear
Yeah.
things that Marissa said and learn about Marissa. And it's like, man, that's freaking awesome, you know? And then to think that like my videos might be able to shed some light so parents can look in and find out about the brain body disconnect and that their kid might have apraxia and stuff like that is freaking awesome. And I'll just continue to do this because it's almost one of those things now I feel guilty not doing it. Because if it's like if I can make a video and frickin' it gets a certain amount of views and 2-3 people are like, holy crap, I'm gonna look into this. It's like, wow, dude, could you imagine 3 kids that are getting treated better now because of my stupid video, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever? Like they see anything from any one of us, and it's just like, dude, that's huge, that's
Yeah.
impactful. So it's like, who knows?
Yes.
So it's just
Absolutely.
awesome. And all of us, thank you for doing stuff like this and giving me another opportunity because more people who might not know about this might see this or whatever. And same thing. It's awesome when we all share like this and give each other like, not advice, but just a different outlook on life.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much.
no, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel so you can get notified whenever I post any new content. Until next time.